There was a man who viewed the world through concepts. Thoughts, beauty, even goodness himself, he saw as just a mere reflection of an ideal form. This man's name was Plato, and his thoughts revolutionized Western thinking and has still informed a lot of ideas today. So, what is Platonic Forms? And is it pointing us towards the truth, or is it more useful as a metaphor? I think it's the metaphor, and let me tell you why. So, Platonic Forms is the idea that there is some metaphysical reality out there that has ideal forms for everything, the essence, the quality of a thing. So let's say like this apple, there would be an ideal version of an apple that has, all the attributes that we put on an apple. It would have that in its perfect essence. Another example would be a perfect circle. All circles are trying to emulate that perfect circle. In mathematics, I'm pretty sure Einstein's theory of general relativity, I'm not a mathematician, is doing something similar to this, where it uses the fourth dimension of time that we can make predictions with in our three-dimensional space. But we don't have to get into math, because I'm not a mathematician, like I said. We can just use a similar analogy with this apple. Obviously, this apple is 3D, it's in three-dimensional space, but it's casting a two-dimensional shadow, as you can see on my hand. It might be better for you to imagine there's like a white piece of paper here, and it's casting that shadow on the paper. But regardless, it's a 3D object casting a 2D shadow. That's the point. And you could think of this apple in the same way as you thought of the shadow. You could think of this apple being the shadow of a 4D apple, if that makes sense. And you could do this forever. You could imagine the fourth dimension thing being a shadow of the fifth dimension apple. So obviously this causes a problem with infinite regress. But there's lots of problems with this idea of forms. The biggest in my mind is being that it's inherently something we can never directly experience. It's all abstractions. It's talking about a hypothetical plane of existence or dimension that has these things that we, as physical beings, would never be able to experience. I think that's the biggest problem, and I think because of that, and there's some other problems with it, a lot of modern day philosophers don't adopt these ideas. That doesn't mean that it doesn't have practical utility in our everyday life, and I would say it's a useful metaphor to promote deeper insights and thinking. So what are those insights, and how can we use it on a more practical basis? I'd say first and foremost, it's great for guiding and chewing on and thinking about ethical ideas and what it means to live a good life. Just the process of thinking about what's the essential aspects of goodness or virtue, or helping others. I would say this is an intellectual exercise. The actual doing of the act is what is important. So I would say, first think about these things, maybe with this metaphor of the forms, and then, really feel how that makes you feel, and then do. If you're not acting on your intellectual, ethical dilemmas, I'd say it's more just intellectual hedonism than actually helping other people. Secondly, you can use this to inform your art, asking, what is the essential elements and qualities and concepts of whatever medium of art you're making. So, whether that's film, dance, painting, whatever, what makes film? What is the quality? And I would say use that to guide your creative decision making. That if that is the quality of the art, that's the most important thing, and you shouldn't focus on improving that element of the craft. I'd say what I've noticed for art in general with this thinking, just an example of what I've done, is what's the essential qualities, um, what would be the essential form of art? And I would say it is to evoke emotion. And so now when I try to make art, I try to evoke emotion versus, focusing on other stuff that may add to it, but it's not the essential thing. And then finally, I would say this type of thinking may lead you down a spiritual path and help in developing, something bigger than yourself. I find it helps us get out of, it's inherently metaphysical, so it's not dealing with the material world. And, through these questions and pondering on these things, you may find something bigger than yourself happening, or you might be transcending some materialism through these thoughts. So yeah, that's what I was thinking about today. Tell me what you think, and thanks for watching.